Many people keep family heirlooms over the course of generations. Even a token that is 100 years old still feels like a palpable connection to our ancestors. But Earth is covered in truly ancient items that make these heirlooms seem brand new by comparison. Today, we are looking at the 15 oldest objects ever found. Aged between 4.3 and 6 billion years old, these zircon crystals discovered in Jack Hills, Australia are currently considered to be the oldest known substance on the planet. To put this in perspective, the Earth was only 160 million years old when this substance was created. That means that Jack Hills zircon has been around for the majority of the world's existence. The quality of the crystals leads scientists to believe that they were formed when the Earth was mostly covered in ocean. According to researchers, the early Earth experienced intense bombardment by meteors, including a collision with a Mars-sized object about 4.5 billion years ago that formed our moon and melted and homogenized the Earth. Our samples formed after the magma oceans cooled and proved that these events were very early. At 3.7 to 4.2 billion years old, hematite tubes are both the second oldest thing on the planet and the single oldest fossil known to humankind. And these tiny fossils formed from ancient microbes are easy to miss. Each fossil is roughly the size of a human eyelash. Billions of years ago, the microbes were living in geothermal vents deep in the sea. Over the millennia, their remains were crystallized in the stone where they lived, and the discovery could have huge repercussions regarding the way we consider life on Earth. First found in slices of rock recovered from northern Quebec, the microscopic metallic detritus, plus chemical signatures associated with ancient metabolisms, could push back the date at which life arose on Earth. There are even theories that suggest that similar organisms could exist on icy moons elsewhere in the solar system. A full billion years before dinosaurs walked the Earth, another organism reigned supreme. They were much less intimidating than their reptilian progeny. In fact, they were totally immobile. Stromatolites were layered rocks created by oceanic bacteria. Massive formations of stromatolites showed up along shorelines all over the world about 3.5 billion years ago. They were the earliest visible manifestation of life on Earth and dominated the scene for more than 2 billion years. At the same time, however, another peculiar rock-like living structure began turning up, called thrombolites, or clotted stones. These clumpy aggregations were not as fine layered as the stromatolites, but are similarly produced by biofilms of microorganisms. Together, they were the dominant life forces of Earth for the majority of its history. The Barberton-McConjoa Mountains are the oldest known mountain range on Earth. They are 3.6 billion years old and outdated all existent mountain ranges, such as the Rockies, Himalayas, and Alps. Located in South Africa, the mountains are also recognized for their exceptional beauty and as an example of some of Earth's most impressive geological processes. The mountains have proven to be a huge resource for geologists and researchers. They represent the best preserved succession of volcanic and sedimentary rock dating back 3.6 to 3.25 billion years and forms a diverse repository of information on surface conditions, meteorite impacts, volcanism, continent building processes, and the environment of early life. Though they are far from the largest, these mountains offer a glimpse of life billions of years ago. Though it is only 65 million years old, an infant compared to other items on this list, Lake Zaysan in Kazakhstan is considered to be the oldest lake on the planet. Once upon a time, wild camels and horses grazed on its shores. Until around 100 years ago, tiger, kulan, and saiga could also be found here, with herds counted in the thousands. Although it still has a reputation among fishermen, Lake Zaysan is quiet now, and the only activity you are likely to see these days is from sheep and horses. The lake shore's exotic desert landscapes are empty, but still inviting to real explorers. This lake is actually 40 million years older than the next oldest lake, proving that it can only exist through an absolute miracle of perfect conditions. In a remote corner of West Turkana, Kenya, anthropologists made one of the most unique finds in history. At 3.3 million years old, the Lomekwi stone tools are the oldest human artifacts ever discovered. Unearthed in a dried-up riverbed in Kenya, the shards of scarred rock, including what appear to be early hammers and cutting instruments, predate the previous record holder by around 700,000 years. Though it's unclear who made the tools, the find is the latest and most convincing in a string of evidence that toolmaking began before any members of the Homo genus walked the Earth. The emergence of stone tools has been traditionally associated with the arrival of the Homo genus, meaning that our earliest ancestors used these tools many millions of years ago. The discovery of a human jawbone dated at 2.3 to 2.5 million years old is rewriting the history books on the movement of humans in prehistory. Researchers used to believe that humans only migrated out of Africa as recently as 100,000 years ago, but this fossil, located in Israel, challenges that notion. It is similar to specimens dating to between 1.9 and 1.8 million years ago from Kubifora, Kenya. The Uraha Hill specimen is one of the oldest occurrences of the genus Homo, and it fills the geographical gap between sites of East and South Africa. Though the jaw did not belong to a Homo sapien, it appears to have been another human species with remarkably similar characteristics. However, scientists are still unsure how these creatures traveled between Africa and the Middle East so long ago. A stone bracelet believed to have been made by a Paleolithic man could revolutionize our understanding of early human development. Scientific analysis suggests that the enchanting find is 65 to 70,000 years old. Experts already believe it is the oldest piece of jewelry of its kind in the world, crafted by an extinct branch of early humans known as Denisovans. The species is a closely related but separate hominid species to Homo sapiens and Neanderthals. If confirmed, it would push back the date of its creation by around 30,000 years and shows that technology used in its creation was available much earlier than thought. Though the bracelet may not hold up to the fashion of today, it proves that humans have been adorning their bodies for millennia. The Geisen-Klostro flute is known as the oldest instrument in the world. The 19-centimeter flute is carved from ivory and believed to be more than 30,000 years old. The flute was found in 31 pieces in the Geisen-Klostro cave in the mountains near Ulm in southern Germany. 2 other flutes made of swan bones were discovered at the site more than a decade ago. The 3 are much older than any other musical instrument yet discovered. The use of mammoth ivory makes the flute an extremely rare find. It is not uncommon to find flutes made from the bones of birds, which are naturally hollow, but this flute proves that these ancient Germans were able to carve with a high level of artistry. A 6,500-year-old piece of beeswax may be the oldest known dental filling on Earth, proving that the practice of dentistry has been in place for many years. The beeswax was found crammed inside of a tooth, proving that humans had intentionally dealt with a toothache through some form of primitive surgery. That early patient, scientists say, once lived in ancient Slovenia, but his skull had for the past century been resting in an Italian museum. According to the lead researcher, this would provide the earliest known direct evidence of therapeutic palliative dental filling. Obviously, this also has implications for ancient medical treatment, though it is difficult to trace this because organs have not been preserved in the same way as teeth and bones. Around 7000 BC, humans were still using masks to honor the dead. That momentous change in lifestyle, along with the first stirrings of organized religion, may have prompted the farmers to create the stark stone images for their cult rituals. According to the lead researcher, many of them look like dead people, she says. In fact, I think they're portraits of specific people, probably important ancestors. The ancestral images were likely powerful symbols for families who had recently put down roots and who now needed to defend their claims to the cultivated fields they depended on for survival. Though it is impossible to know the true roots of these masks, they are clearly one of a kind. The discovery of the Kish clay tablets in the 1960s was about to change the chronological order of the appearance of writing, and even the cradle of the first known civilization in the world. In 1961, archaeologist Nikolai Vlasa began working at a site near the village of Tartaria, an area famous for its many artifacts made out of pottery. She soon discovered the Kish tablet, widely considered to be the oldest example of human writing on the planet. At 5,500 years old, it is far more ancient than the writings of the Sumerians, previously believed to be the oldest writing in the world. These 3 tablets have become the epicenter of the world of anthropology, at least as it relates to human literacy. A perfectly preserved shoe, 1,000 years older than the Great Pyramid of Giza in Egypt and 400 years older than Stonehenge in the UK, has been found in a cave in Armenia. It was made of a single piece of leather and was shaped to fit the wearer's foot, the researchers say. The shoe contained grass, although the archaeologists are uncertain as to whether this was to keep the foot warm or to maintain the shape of the footwear. The authors are unsure whether it was worn by a man or a woman. The shoe is relatively small, corresponding to a UK women's size 5, but it could have been worn by a man of that period. The archaeologists put the shoe's remarkable preservation down to the stable, cool, and dry conditions in the cave, and the fact that the floor of the cave was covered by a thick layer of sheep dung. This layer of excrement acted as a solid seal, preserving it over the millennia. Discarded chewing gum is the bane of cities throughout the world. However, chewing and dumping gum is not a modern phenomenon. A chunk of chewing gum dated to 3000 BC, replete with teeth impressions, was recently found deep in the woods of Finland. Genetically speaking, the chewing gum shares an affinity with other groups of Homo sapiens, but the excavation site where the gum was found offers up a different story, featuring lithic technology brought to Scandinavia from the East European plain, or modern-day Russia. That means the gum was likely at the center of a cross-cultural exchange. Apparently, the chewing gum was made from bark and contains phenols, which would naturally help clean the teeth. The Lydian lion coin is widely considered to be the oldest on the planet. The coin is a Lydian third stater, or trite, minted sometime around 600 BC in Lydia, Asia Minor, a country in close geographic and cultural proximity to the Greek colonies in Asia Minor. It's made of electrum, an alloy of gold and silver called white gold in ancient times. One of the many fascinating aspects of this coin is the mysterious sunburst above the lion's eye. Most of the early Lydian coins have no writing on them, just images of symbolic animals. Therefore, the dating of these coins relies primarily on archaeological evidence, with the most commonly cited evidence coming from the excavations at the Temple of Artemis at Ephesus in Turkey.